means 136, right? We're still missing a north here. North. Okay? So now we have 36 pies, 36 sticks, 36 numerals, which is 1, okay? 4 winds, total 16. 3 characters as 中发白. Now we take a little diversion here. When the Mah Jiang game is sort of imported into West, and a lot of people actually wrote books and so on, and start making Mah Jiang in the West. And then these characters is confusing because people do not recognize this character that easy. It's very hard to, write also. Whereas wind, at least easier to remember for direction. This, since doesn't necessarily associate too easily. So what happened? Somebody replaced this with dragon picture. So they make the 中, which is red color, 发 is green color, the spore is sort of like a white or blue color. They make these 4 into 4 red dragons, and then 4 green dragons. Okay? Now, the board, I guess it's easy to remember as a image. They didn't change. So in the American Mah Jiang, or rather it's like a Jewish Mah Jiang. People always say Jewish Mah Jiang because the Jewish people particularly like to play Mah Jiang, and they were pretty popular among Jewish women. And those Mah Jiang have green dragon, red dragon, okay, and a board, and in their Mah Jiang set, okay. So this whole thing now we describe is 136, and that's the basic Mah Jiang set. Usually with this you can start playing, okay, but you can see there's still something else. These are added piece. Sometimes you can say it's optional piece, okay, optional piece. These 4, okay. 这个 first 梅兰竹菊 okay, 4 flowers, plum flowers, orchid flower, mums, and the bamboo. This bamboo actually is not a flower, but it is drawn almost like a flower. 梅兰菊竹. Why is 梅兰菊竹in Chinese and very significant choosing? Because these 4, let's call it vegetation, are very strong against cold temperature. The plum flower, as you know, plum flowers, the first flower probably came out right after the winter, right? The very, very early April, the plum flowers, okay, so-called 梅花, okay, the white plum flowers. The orchid flower, okay, is 兰花, I don't know. 兰花, is it strong against cold? I thought orchid flower is very has to be pampered very much. Okay, so that's orchid flower. Mums, I think it's a winter type of flower, right? Because it does go into the late fall and bloom, right? Bamboo is also, in fact, it's green all. Actually, bamboo, it's not so much as strong against temperature. Rather, it's its own strength. Bamboo is very strong material. Anyway, these Meilan Juzhu are very typical vegetation in a gentleman's house. Usually say it's in the garden, next to the study. You have these plum trees, you have orchid flowers in the study, you have the bamboos, you have the mums, and that's, okay, is association with a very nice, serene environment for study. So those 4 pieces is introduced as optional pieces extra. And then there's other 4 seasons: spring, summer, fall, winter. Okay? And with the words here and some carved, flowers. But the flowers, the pattern can be almost arbitrary. But anyway, it represents 4 seasons, so that 4 is added as option. These options, when you play, depends on the rules people agree ahead of time. You could, whenever you have these extra flowers, it allows you to get an extra tile and put this one, just showing, entitle you to get an extra tile. Okay? And later on, if you win, sometimes these flowers, okay, they usually say flowers, including even the seasons, will add some bonus points to your win. Okay, we're not going to get into those. Okay, those rules, because first of all, rules are somewhat subjective in a sense, depending on the players who are playing and how they adopt the rules. So we're not going to get into these kind of optional rules here. Okay, those are flowers. Now, another tile, again, typically in American Mah Jiang. Okay, by the way, American Mah Jiang is pretty serious business. And there is a federation, there is the association, and they all run, annual events and tournaments and so on. Okay, for example, I think the federation has annual event at Atlantic City, okay, New Jersey, in one of these resort casinos. Okay. Now, the Western Mah Jiang, they do provide you a little rule book. In fact, I think this is very much capitalist sort of thinking. The Mah Jiang in China is fixed design, never change. The rules are one set, could be modified among the players or simplified among the players. Okay, but one set of rules. And the rules are somewhat related mathematically to the difficulty of making a win. It's probability, dependent. For example, to collect all 14 cards in one suit, obviously it's more difficult than having mixed suits. Okay? Now, collecting not only one suit, but in a sequence, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Of course, that is difficult. And that actually, when you have 9 pieces in same suit, people call 一条龙, one dragon. Okay? Now, these difficulties determine the value of your sort of your pattern. Now, in China, these rules are more or less universal. When people sit down and play, generally would ask, do you play this? Do you play that? Do you play this? Means, do you include that as part of your winning pattern? And how do you count the winning pattern? Whether the payoff is double or triple or something, it depends on how you devise the payment. So that's China. But in this country, the Jewish, I don't know who started, definitely some entrepreneur or capitalist, they put the rule on a card, which is printed. And they change the rules every year. So they make these poor ladies, not poor, they're probably rich ladies, to buy these rules every year. Although it's not that much money, maybe $5, $10. But imagine that every year you have to buy a new rule. The rules are slightly changed to define the patterns and so forth. I haven't really spent that much time to look into this rule business, but I know people do change the rules every year. I call it very entrepreneurial or capitalist because, you know what? When they sell you a set of a Mah Jiang, I don't know how much that is, let's say $20, so $50 a set. And every year you have to buy a piece of paper for another $10. And as long as you want to play. And that could be very good business. Whereas in China, you buy a set, let's say $30, that's it. You keep it for life. And there's no modification. Everybody has the same design. Okay? So I think in that respect, the Western, the business people are definitely more, I would say, creative. Okay? So if you go join a Mah Jiang club in this country, in the United States, or Canada, people generally would sell you these rule cards. Okay, you become a member. Let's say federation. You are a member of a federation, and the federation sells these things, or some business people making the tiles, making the set, making the cards will sell you this. So that's enough about Mah Jiang. Okay, detail the Western type, the Chinese type, and so on. Now I'm going to tell you how to play very quickly. Almost like card game. You know, rummy, gin and rummy type of card game. You deal. This is the same. You usually put the cards upside down, covered this way, and put it in together. Since it's 136, you divide it by 4, is 17 or 34 each. Okay, 34 each. You will pile up like this, 17 pairs, which is 34. Then you throw a dice. You determine the direction, and people will take 4 at a time. You take 4 and so on and so forth until you had 13. And the first person, okay, will draw 14. And the winning pattern is 14 tiles. So the first person who has 14 has a very small probability that he can win before even begin. That in China they call 天胡, means heavenly win, or heaven win means you have the heavens or the blessing on the first round. Before you even begin, you got the 14 tiles, it's got a win pattern. The probability almost 0. I have not seen anybody, okay? Although if you talk to the Mah Jiang players, they will probably swear, oh yeah, it happens, okay? You've got to be extremely lucky to have 14 tiles. When you are the dealer, you are the first one, and you draw 14, and that turned out to be a winning pattern, okay? So that's how you play. You got 13 card tiles, and you try to make pattern. And the pattern really, it's 2 3, 3, 3, 3. 4 threes is 12. 2 is 2. Add up 14. Why 3, 3, 3, 3? Because the 3 has to be as some kind of sequence, some kind of a similarity. For example, 1, 2, 3. That's a 3 pattern. Or if you have 3 of a kind, that's a pattern. Okay? So these kind of pattern allow you to have 4, 3, and a pair as a Mah Jiang. 2, 3, 3, 3, 3 is winning pattern. So you play this that way. It sounds pretty simple. But the difficulty comes in when the math is introduced or the probability is introduced. If you play these combinations, as we mentioned before, if all your 3, 3, 3s are in the pies, okay, let's get another pies in here. Okay, that's 4, 5, 6. All right? So if you have all the 3, 3, 3, 4 threes in these pies, and the pair is also in the pies, that's a lot more difficult than you have mixed type of suits. And this, in China, is called pure suit, or 清一色, means the same suit. It's very difficult. So when you have that, they will add to the bonus points, and then your payoff is a lot higher. Okay? Now, within the same suit, you can still have other sort of fancy bonus, like this: 4, 5, 6, 4, 5, 6. 一般高. This means you got 2 suit of the same 4, 5, 6, 4, 5, 6, which is, again, more difficult. You could have, for example, 3, 4, 5. That is not considered as a pair. Okay, it's not an 一般高, because 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, it could be different. But if you had a 4, 5, 6, 4, 5, 6, that adds another, bonus. Now, okay, let's make this even harder. Now, if you had 4, 5, 6, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 7, 8, 9, double of double, that's definitely more difficult than the first one, and certainly more difficult than you didn't have this kind of a pair, they call it 一般高, and then a Mah Jiang. So this, okay, will be called pure suit double dragon, because 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, that's like a dragon. 2 dragon with head here. It's double dragon. That is additional bonus. So because this kind of rules and correlated with mathematics, basically. Mathematics, not in a sense you need to do computation in your head, but it's already introduced and empirically determined the bonus or value for these patterns. And I'm sure if you're interested, you can find books that describe this, and you even can find PhD theses about these patterns, whether it's authentically correct in the ranking of certain pattern is higher or more difficult than the other. Now, why is so? PhD thesis, because it's not just simple probability. Actually, it has lots so-called conditional probability. Because if you put all the tiles on the table like we did and open up and you say, okay, I want to get this pattern. You say, okay, out of 136 pieces, there were 36 pies. Out of 36 pies, there are 4 this, 4 this, 4 this, 4 this. So you can do this kind of a math and say, okay, take 2 out of the how many pieces, and the probability is how much. But that's when the tiles all in the first initial shot, taking it. But when you play the game, you start seeing other people either collect one suit or discard another suit, okay? That will place condition on your strategy, whether you want to collect this suit or collect some pattern. Those conditions make this conditional probability far more challenging, difficult. For example, if somebody had a 3 of a kind by Pung. Pung means somebody played 1 and he has 2, he can take this one and put it down. That's become one of the 3s. If he did that, that means what's left of this 8 pies, it's only 1 left. 1 left, and if you had this nice pattern here, so say I have 7, 9, 7, 9, that 8 only has 1 8, right? It's make you difficult to win, right? Or if you had a potential pattern of 1 long dragon, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. What you're missing is 8. By seeing that 3 already came out, you know how difficult that 4th one is, because that's only 1 left. Whether it's kept by somebody in their hand or is in the middle that it will be draw, it's all unknown. So these conditions make the game more interesting, challenging. And then people make the game more challenging because people can create these conditions. If you play with let's say a old Mah Jiang player, let's say call it a old lady, played a lot of years, and she knows, she just somehow watch how you play, how you discard, figure it out what piece you want, and if they got it, they'll keep it, and you waiting for this, waiting to the end, will never get it because she's got it. Now, how do you know that? That is where the human skills come in. The more you play, the more you are observing, the more you are deducing all the conditions other people play. And you create the best for you, and you create the worst for the others. After all, this is the competition. Okay, so that's the Mah Jiang game. Now, I have a few more minutes left. I'm going to describe this Scramble Mah Jiang. Since only a few minutes left, I'm not going to even open this one because I just noticed this is a brand new set, never opened, sealed, and I have to shovel a lot in order to make it a correct one. I will just explain to you. As you know, Scramble cards is 136 pieces, not by accident, because when I designed it, I designed this Scramble cards to be able to play Mah Jiang, poker, you name it, okay? 30-some different games. Now, when you play Mah Jiang, 136, it's like the 136 here, number-wise. But it doesn't have these patterns. So how do you say play Mah Jiang? Play Mah Jiang by the same rule. You have 13 tiles or cards. You try to make 14 and make a win pattern. It's a pattern. What do you mean pattern? Sure. One analogy is, let's say we are going to make 2, 3, 3, 3, 3. The 2 is a 2-letter word. 3 is a 3-letter word. So that means you have to make 1 2-letter word, 4 3-letter words. Can you do that? Sure, because there are 104 2-letter words in English, right? Scrabble dictionary. And there are 1,000, a little over 1,000 3-letter words. So you can make this game as 2, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. All right? That could be so similar to the Mah Jiang play, the play. So you could just play Scramble Mah Jiang that way. But that's not as exciting or interesting because you only have 1,000 3-letter words and only 100 some 2-letter words. So I've made a little change. In the pattern winning, 2, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3 certainly is one winning pattern. But you also can make 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? 3 plus 4 plus 5 is 12. So instead of 4 3s, you now 3, 4, 5, and of 2. 3, 4, 5 means a 3-letter word, 4-letter word, 5-letter word. So if you have 3 words and a 2-letter word, you can create a winning pattern. And so by this new definition, you can make 2, 6, 6 as well. 2 6-letter word and a 2-letter word. You can make 2, 3, 9. Of course, now you can see we can make the similarity or the same rules as Mah Jiang. As you change the pattern into a more difficult pattern, you should get more points, more bonus. So now you start comparing the Mah Jiang in Scramble Mah Jiang in a similar way. Okay? I hope you have figured that out. Particularly for those of you already have the Scramble cards, you can try it. Get 4 people. And we do that all the time in restaurants and the train and bus. 4 people, you deal 13 each, and then you play 1 hour and play 1 hour and say, hey, win. Okay? So, today, I hope I did not bore you by introducing you the Chinese Mah Jiang, the American Mah Jiang, and then the Scramble Mah Jiang. And hope you would enjoy. Okay? Stay relaxed. Now the election's over, and we can relax a few days and watch how the elected officials are going to fix the economy for us, and fix the country for us, and fix the world for us. So, good night.